Francesco Bagnaia is not living in a comfortable world right now. He's not chasing Marc Marquez for wins. He's not pulling away from the field like in the glory run of 2022 and 2023. He's holding on, clawing, looking for pieces of himself in the middle of a war where Marquez has redefined what domination looks like. At Balaton Park, Pecco was hammered by reality. 14.8 seconds behind his teammate, a humiliating number on paper. Add a long lap penalty on top of that, and the result looks uglier than it feels. Because beneath the surface, something cracked open in Hungary. Something Pecco himself called a huge change. And here's the thing. Sometimes the real fight isn't about the gap to first. It's about finally feeling like the bike is listening to you again. This is where Pecco's head is at. He knows he's not in Marc's orbit right now. Nobody is. Marquez is tearing through the season like a force of nature, blasting holes in statistics and rewriting what people thought was possible. For everyone else, the question isn't how to beat Marc, but how to stop bleeding. How to rediscover form. How to stay relevant when history is being written in real time. For Bagnaia, Hungary was that needle in the dark, proof that he's not completely broken. The setup gamble, Pecco admitted they changed by centimeters in geometry. That's cryptic, but it tells you everything. Ducati's GP25 is a monster in the right hands, but Pecco had been fighting it like it was a stranger. The braking zones were eating him alive. TV cameras even caught his rear wheel floating, an image that spoke louder than the data he later confirmed. When you are able to see it on the television, imagine on the data, he said. That's not just a technical flaw. That's a rider's confidence being shredded corner after corner. In Hungary, after a miserable Saturday, they went radical. And it worked. Not to the level of winning, not to the level of podiums, but to the level of hope. Bagnaia could finally hit the brakes without feeling like the bike was betraying him. He could turn in without panic. He described it as a good feeling again, which for a two-time champion isn't just words. It's oxygen. The brutal truth about Balaton Park. Yes, he finished 14.8s down. Yes, that's an eternity in MotoGP. But dig deeper. That was after a long lap penalty, after a weekend where he started lost. He salvaged rhythm, not points. And that matters because stop-and-go circuits, Balaton and Sachsenring, exposed his worst weaknesses with the GP25. Barcelona is next. A track that flows, a track where Bagnaia dominated last November with pole, sprint, and GP wins. He doesn't need to match Marc there. He needs to confirm that Hungary wasn't a mirage. The Bezzecchi problem. There's another storm cloud hanging over Pecco, and it doesn't wear red. It wears Aprilia black. Marco Bezzecchi, who looked adrift early in the season, is now hunting him down. Not in the fight for victories, but in the fight for third place. That says everything. Pecco sits 52 points behind Alex Marquez and just 31 ahead of Bezzecchi. That's not the gap of a two-time defending champion. It's the gap of a man in survival mode. Bezzecchi isn't beating him on Sundays yet, but he's forcing a new kind of pressure. When you're Pecco, every question from the media comes with a sting. Are you even safe on the podium anymore? The problem with being a champion is that nobody applauds damage limitation. Nobody cheers you for 4th, 5th, 6th. The bar you set yourself becomes a cage. A fight with ghosts. Bagnaia knows this isn't about Marc. Marc is untouchable right now, an Everest nobody else can climb. But the danger for Pecco isn't Marquez's domination. It's irrelevance. If Bezzecchi keeps creeping closer, if Aprilia keeps improving, if Fabio Di Giannantonio keeps nicking podiums, then Bagnaia's title of Ducati's golden son erodes. Suddenly, you're not the man shaping the future. You're just another rider hanging on to a factory seat because of past glories. This is why Hungary mattered. Because Bagnaia didn't sound broken after finishing 14.8s down. He sounded alive again. We'll continue on this path, he said. That's the sound of a man who knows he has a fight left in him. And if you're a fan, that's all you can ask for right now. Context matters. Let's not sugarcoat it. Bagnaia's season has been messy. He hasn't won since Jerez. His weaknesses on stop-and-go tracks have been glaring. His rear stability issues have been replayed on TV for the world to see. But zoom out. He's still third in the World Championship. He's still the only man in Ducati Red who has survived the storm of Marc joining the family. And he's still capable of lighting up weekends like Barcelona. The Balaton deficit wasn't flattering, but the huge change he felt could be the seed of a second wind. Champions don't always fight for wins every Sunday. Sometimes the championship isn't about glory. It's about evolution under fire. Bagnaia is in that phase now. What comes next? Barcelona is crucial. If the flowy layout confirms his Hungary feeling, then the fight for podiums resets. If it doesn't, then Bezzecchi's shadow grows longer. Either way, Pecco has no luxury of coasting. He has to keep chiseling at this GP25 until it bends to him, not the other way around. Because here's the brutal truth. Marc is gone. He's on a level nobody can touch this season. Everyone else is scrapping for survival. And in that scrap, Pecco Bagnaia is rediscovering something far more important than a gap on the timesheet. He's rediscovering belief. If you're watching this season, apart from Marquez, nobody is really on form. Alex Marquez is consistent but not electric. Bezzecchi is pressuring but not conquering. Fabio Quartararo is begging Yamaha to wake up. Jorge Martin is trapped in contract drama. Everyone is wounded in some way. Bagnaia's wound is visible, ugly, and raw. But sometimes the ones who bleed the most are the ones who learn how to fight again. Pecco Bagnaia is still fighting. That's the story right now. He might not be the executioner tearing up the field like Marc, but in the ashes of Hungary, he found a piece of himself. And that piece could be the start of something dangerous. When you are in the same box with Marc, then you are in test every minute, no matter you have 2 or 10 titles. When you are with Marc, the world stands with you, but supports Marc on every race. And Marc Marquez's real strength is rise from the hate. He lives in that. To survive against Marc, you should lose everything and go with no mercy every race. Every practice, every crash, you should stand up and run to pit. Take second bike like nothing happened. You might not win even after doing everything. But we can see the efforts, and here comes some old saying, practice makes man perfect. So do everyone. Your whole experience is Marc Marquez muscle memory. There have been legends. To survive in Marc Marquez era itself a legendary thing. 7 rounds left. So 7 Fridays, 7 Saturdays, and 7 Sundays left. 21 racing days, plenty of laps to cover. Pecco lost the championship, that's fact. But he can build something more important than what is there today.